my first slide there?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Okay, so, well, we are in 2021. Welcome, everyone. So my name is Zane Pritkovs. I'll be your host for today and also delivering WVD news. And let's just start with our next slide. So housekeeping. We've got, so during the presentations, it's best to turn off cameras and just to maximize the screen for presenting screen so that it's at least in the full screen and it's not being blocked as well. So this sound, we prefer if you guys mute it on your side during the presentation. Interact by chat at any time. We're happy for you to ask any questions, whether it's related to current topic or even something that comes to your mind. And it's a good idea to put it into chat straight away before the thought is lost. So feel free to just pop it right in, and we will be reading out the questions either during the sessions or straight after the sessions in Q&A. The session will be fast-paced. However, we're already recording it now, so it will be published on our YouTube channel. So today's agenda. So we've got WVD news coming up at 6:10, and it will be presented by myself. And at 6:40, we will have a presentation from Patrick Köhler, and it will be on WVD and Msix app attach, followed by demo and Q&A. So we look forward to this exciting presentation. So Patrick is joining us all the way from Germany, so that's really nice to see, and it makes it even more international, this meeting, this catch up for today. So today's meetup will end at 7:30. That's the official part. However, we'll have a continued Q&A after that, and then open floor discussion as well with video and audio on if you wish, and we can discuss topics, share experiences. So it's also another positive thing that we do here, and there will be group photo opportunity at the end as well. If you're keen, if you're happy to, or have means of enabling camera, we'll have that available too. About myself briefly, so over 20 years in the IT industry, cloud VDI advocate, currently technical MD consulting as well at Easy ThinPrint in Australia. And I'm organizer of this group, ANZ WVD user group, and also founder and community lead for the WVD Fast Forward Azure LinkedIn group, which is now 2,600 users or so. And my contact details there at the bottom as well. So feel free to reach out if needed. So the WVD community. It's been founded back in March, I believe. Been founded by Neil, Stefan, and Patrick, who is on our session today. So now these figures here, they're probably a little bit out of date, as in numbers of podcasts and newsletters. But if you go to the main website, which is wvdcommunity.com, I believe, you will see all the current figures and updates. So here's the actual website URL address, and it will be up to date with all the numbers. All right, so what you can expect from our sessions for our group. So meeting up once a month, presenting latest news and hot topics. For instance, so today we've got Msix attach, apps attach. Next month in February, we have our exciting topic of Nerdio Manager. I will be presented by, again, visiting speaker from Netherlands, Bas van Kam. Hopefully, some of you know Bas as well for his good work in the VDI area field with Citrix, and also now as of late with WVD, and now he is with Nerdio, so that's good to see. So back to the slide. Recordings will be available after the event. We've got our YouTube channel, and you will see the link actually on our Meetup group. And I usually post actually a note about the recording to our participants list as well on Meetup. And yes, physical events. So that is a little bit of a challenge at the moment with what's happening with pandemic at the moment. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe in Q2 or Q3, something is possible for physical events. All right. So this community is for you guys. So if there is something you would like to share, so please reach out. We would like to hear your experience or your value add that you would like to present on WVD or technologies that work with WVD. So we're really keen on hearing from you, because this is a community where we collaborate, and this is the right place to do that. So yeah, we'll be happy to hear from you. All right. So next part is right on time, 6:09, WVD news. So let's kick off with our next part. All right, so we've got WVD Tech Fest coming up, which is an exciting new event that is being organized, I believe, by Patrick Köhler, and also by Simon, I believe, Simon Binder from Sweden. So that's an exciting event. A lot of big names there, as in WVD world, and it's going to be, looks like, really deep dive technical WVD event. So I really look forward to this. So what I like about it is that it's actually free from any marketing, and sales technology session, any marketing or sales presentations. So it's just pure technology. So it's an opportunity to engage with speakers and attendees as well. And yeah, really knowledgeable presenters from the community and this partner ecosystem as well. So feel free to sign up. If you can sign up today, that's probably a good idea. So February 25th is a date for the event. All right, next item, Msx app attach on Azure portal. So previously you would have to use PowerShell scripts to actually enable Msx app attach, and so this new update here, which is in public preview now, and that's what Patrick will show us in a second session, probably elaborate more on that, on that particular technology. So this technology eliminates the need actually for custom scripts, and it makes it possible to publish your packaged applications to application groups with just a few clicks. So it really simplifies the management for admins and minimizes reliance on PowerShell scripts themselves. So the capability, so yeah, it's now in public preview. So we'll hear more about this from Patrick today. The source link is down below as well. If anyone interested, you can take a look there also. Okay, so let's carry on to the next slide. So screen capture protection in WVD is now also in public preview. So so it prevents any screen capturing on the client endpoints. This feature is really a must-have in secure environments like banks, financial institutions, and government, where customer data is sensitive and it can't be leaked. So that's a really good feature. So, essentially, the way it works is this is actually policy that's enforced at the host level with configuring a registry key. Now, to learn more, you could also refer to the source link below and take a look for yourself. Try it out as well. Okay, so next, Zoom now fully supported in WVD. So early January this year, so Zoom finally has released a long-awaited plugin for WVD. So now it is fully supported, and so now the communication is happening, via your WVD from your WVD host itself, and so it's much easier. Now you see, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen that the large portion of the workforce now working from home, and which has led actually to huge increase of video conferencing instead of face-to-face meetings, and so this trend is likely to continue this year as well in 2021. So this screenshot here, this is actually from that screenshot from Neil McLaughlin's blog. Actually, I borrowed it from there, and I left the source below there. You can see that Neil's test actually showed that it only consumed the actual Zoom task, consuming only 47.5 megabytes. So it's really minimal resources being consumed. So it is really good product already now. Okay, so the next item we've got on our list is WVD Collect. That's been updated as well. So this is a utility that is helping to collect the logs from your Windows machine, and it can be used on just on a normal Windows machine, physical, or can be used on WVD as well to collect the log files. So very handy. Works on PowerShell script that's embedded there, so it works at the click of a button, and you can go through, and if you like to take a peek at any errors in the logs, so that would be a very useful tool as well. So there's a source link at the GitHub, so feel free to take a look at it. I'll shoot these links in a chat here for all of you guys when perhaps during the maybe during Patrick's presentation, I'll quickly paste them in a chat for you guys, so you can have access to all of those as well. All right, and the next item we've got, yes, built-in roles for Windows Virtual Desktop. So these are newly introduced RBAC roles. So now you have the opportunity to use these roles with your deployments as well. So there's a whole list of them now here on a slide on the right-hand side. So that's hopefully is going to be helpful for your deployments as well, guys. Link to the sources down below as well. Right. So the next exciting announcement here, our WVD friend Freak Person, he published a book recently, which is a migration guide for remote desktop services to WVD, and so it is highly recommended to use as a guide, and quite a thorough book actually, covering a lot of aspects of it. So in this slide here, I just added as to what you will learn from the book in bullet points. You can see that there, hopefully. So yeah, highly recommended. I'll paste this link to the source also in a chat during the next session. All right. So the next item we have, yes, so eZip product. I'm not sure if you guys heard of eZip cloud printing for WVD. It's also known as EasyBlue. So now it is actually hosting cloud rendering and printer drivers library. It's all hosted in a cloud. So what that means is that essentially when it comes to printing, all your printer queues could be in a cloud, and drivers are managed in a cloud as well. So you don't need to be managing drivers anywhere else on your physical servers, print servers, or on your sites. It can now all be managed in a cloud, and the jobs will be going from, as the diagram shows. Let me just get the let me see if I can get the pointer here. Okay. Okay. Right. Sorry, I can't really find it right now. But anyhow, so from the laptop, if your job goes to the cloud, it's rendered there by the native printer driver. And then from the cloud, it comes down straight to your remote site, directly to the printer, ready to print in a printer native language. So it's all done in the cloud now. So it's that's the latest update on an eZip product. For those of you who require efficient printing from the cloud to remote sites via WVD. Right, so in the source again is down here as well at the bottom. I'll share it with you soon. Okay, so the next item we have is Stratodesk announced the release of WVD Linux on both x86 and Raspberry Pi. So that makes it very affordable thin client for WVD. If they are built on Raspberry Pi, that means that you can essentially just buy a Raspberry Pi, which is in Australia, it costs around 50 Australian dollars, and then just flash it with the client image, and off you go. You've got a thin client for yourself, which connects to your WVD environment. So a very inexpensive way to manage to run up your thin clients that are supporting WVD. So it's a great innovation from Stratodesk. So it's good to see. Link is also below. And that's pretty much all from me about the WVD news. So I would like to then open to all of you guys now to see if you have any questions. So I'll just open the chat here to see if you guys have any questions at all, or any updates if you're aware of that you would like to add. Feel free to add any additional info to that or ask questions.
Maybe I will take the chance to add something to your presentation. First of all, thank you, Zane, for the very great introduction to WVD news. Some experiences already to some features that have been released, like screen capture protection. Very funny story from yesterday evening when I was presenting kind of the same presentation than today. I wanted we talked about WVD and security, first of all, in a session Simon Binder did very great. And I was about to show how to enable screen capture protection. So I enabled it for all my session hosts, and afterwards it was my turn showing some MSIX stuff. and nobody was able to see my screen. Of course not, because screen capture protection was enabled, and I can highly encourage you to use it because even the public preview is awesome, is really working great. I can't say it anymore. But just make sure you enable it on a computer level, not on a user level. So if some users of you require to share their screen, or if screen capturing is needed in any way, just think about giving access to another host pool or move to another session host, as you know it's on a computer level.
Right. So here you go. So that's you know, from the experience, from the field. the trick is to enable it on a computer level and not the user.
Yeah, it's just a registry key. Finally, you have to enable.
Yeah. Wow. Right. Thank you, Patrick. Thanks for this update as well, for the addition. Sorry, I'm just scrolling to the agenda. Here we go. To our agenda file there. Slide. No, that's good. I think we are tracking well here with time, and so we had a few more people joining here from our session as well. So by way of just mentioning where everyone is joining, well, we know Patrick is joining from Germany. We've got Dirk here from Dirk. I think it's Belgium, isn't it? Sorry, if I'm not mistaken. Just to see where everyone is dialing in or connecting from, would you like to put in your city where you're coming from in the chat? It would be interesting to see just where everyone is coming from. I know Shogo is connecting here. Welcome, Shogo, from Sydney. Dave, based in Sydney. Welcome, Dave. And Rajesh in Perth. Welcome. Welcome, Rajesh. All right. Yep. Everyone is lots of different places in Australia and overseas as well. Yes, Patrick, Bitburg, Germany. Awesome. Yeah. #1 German beer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I tried it. I'm pretty sure I tried it. Yeah. I love German beers. They're awesome.
You have to know that Bitburg is actually a very small city. You cannot even consider it as a city. For me, it's just a larger village, and it has the largest brewery of whole Germany. So it's pretty insane. You can say the brewery is the city.
Yeah, I think it was the one with red label. Was it a red label? Bitburg?
They have some. It's more brown, a brown label with golden, how can I say, lines in between.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but well, we're kind of sidetracking here, but yeah, no, thanks for that point as well, Patrick. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And I would like to welcome also Mr. T-Bone, well, from Sweden. So welcome as well. Welcome to our meetup today. All right. So well, we're a little bit ahead of time here, but we might as well go over to you, Patrick, to our next presenter.
Pleasure.
Yeah, so I will then pass on the presenter permissions there. Here you go. And you are now presenter, so you should be able to share your screen.
Awesome. I will do it that way.
And yeah.
So I'm really not used to see interfaces in German anymore. It's maybe because I switched my PC and the operating system is in German. I'm not used to that anymore. So
all right.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
So,
and while you're connecting here, I've got yes, Dirk is confirming he's from Belgium. So welcome again, Dirk. And Asita is coming from Sri Lanka, Colombo. Welcome. Well, that's really multinational, international crowd here. So welcome everyone. And Patrick, over to you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. From my side, it's good morning, wherever you are located currently. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Officially, Happy New Year also from my side in a personal way. I wish we could see each other in person, really. Yeah, but I hope we can see each other one day when the COVID situation is much better. For us in Germany, it's currently terrible. And I wish you all the best for your personal and career. And yeah, what can I say? Whenever you have a question regarding Windows Virtual Desktop, MSIX App Attach, regarding this session or whatever, you know that we are here to help. We from the WVD community. All the best from all of us to all of you. And yeah, I have to say that Australia is actually a country that I always wanted to visit, but I never made it actually. And it was planned for the last year finally, and then the COVID situation came and we were not able to make it. So hopefully this will be the case in the next years, because one of my favorite music bands is actually coming from Australia. It's a heavy metal band actually called Parkway Drive. Maybe you've heard of them. It's more a really heavy music, but yeah, it's an Australian band actually. And
awesome. I'm sure there will be opportunity for you to visit, you know, one day, especially if we'll have a tech fest here, maybe in Australia one day. So
oh, that would be awesome. Super great.
Yeah.
And let's take it from here. Yeah, to start and to talk about MSIX App Attach. I've prepared many great demonstrations for you guys, so it won't be boring. You can learn a lot of stuff, and I will tell you a lot of knowledge I was able to gain from the field. So we have a lot of customers. I will explain that in a minute. Okay, who am I? My name is Patrick Köhler. I'm 29 years old, living in Germany, but working in Luxembourg. So I'm very used to Luxembourgish, Belgish, and French companies, because in that small company, we collaborate very close to our other European partners. So it's a very international country, even though it's just, for some of you, just a small city, actually. Yeah, I'm working there as a technical leader for the area of Microsoft Azure. And yeah, like you know, I'm side contributor of the WVD community. I'm running the German Windows Virtual Desktop user group, as well as the WVD Tech Fest. And I'm very happy this is already happening next month. Zane gave you already an introduction, what it will be about, who will speak. And one of our speakers is also guest today, Mr. T-Bone. Very looking forward to that. I've been also awarded with the Microsoft MVP Enterprise Mobility, as well as the Azure Hero. This is all because of your support. And I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you as well for reading my blog post, for engaging with me. This gave me this incredibly great possibility to be part of that community. Thanks to all of you for that. Yeah, Zane already said everything about it, so there's nothing to add from my side anymore. The WVD Tech Fest is happening next month, so we would be really, really happy to have or see you joining. We really take care that the presentations are technical oriented, so there won't be any marketing or sales blah blah like you could probably expect it. We really take care of that you get the technical knowledge you need to help your clients in your daily business. And for that reason, we invented this Tech Fest together, or I did it together with Simon, and we're driving it together to bring you really the highest knowledge compressed in one day to you. We have also a very great sponsor here, which helps us a bit to run this event. It's Izip, actually. And so we will have a lunchtime quiz with a lot of prizes or giveaways for all of the attendees. So it will be exciting. Very happy to see you all joining. Okay, and what can you expect to learn today? I've prepared, like I said earlier, a lot of demonstrations for you, as well as all the theoretical knowledge to get started the right way with MSIX and the functionality called App Attach in your lab or your enterprise environment. I have some practical use cases prepared that we already have in place for some customers, and that you can see how it's being used in real production. And the key takeaways for today should be that you're equipped with fundamental knowledge about Msx packages. And like I said, the functionality called App Attach, we need to distinguish this. And this should give you a general overview and explanation how you can reduce your golden images by containerizing the apps, and to learn where are the limitations currently. I will also cover the storage options as well as container security. How can Msx packages help to secure applications from being manipulated? And then we'll choose the right toolset, meaning do you need to be a PowerShell addict to get started with MSIX, or are there any kind of free tools available on the market that help you getting started? We will also take a sneak peek into the future integration of MSIX app attach, meaning the portal integration that has been introduced by Zane already. Actually, and as you might know, this portal is currently available in public preview. But for me, it's more or less something like a kind of private preview. I will explain that later on, because you see that there are a lot of changes being made to the MSIX app attach portal integration, which makes it sometimes very hard to do live demonstrations because of that frequent changes. I will show you later what I mean, but I have a great demonstration for you, how it works, how you can use it, and where are the limitations at the moment. And like I said earlier, we have a lot of huge demonstrations, but I want also to make sure that you have the theoretical knowledge to understand what I am doing particularly. Sounds good? So let's dive into the topic directly with a small demonstration on what is MSIX app attach? What is this guy talking about? And I've prepared a small demonstration. And like I said earlier, yesterday I did a demonstration as well. And yeah, unfortunately, I had my screen capture protection still enabled, and I was not able to turn it off yet. So for that reason, I'm using a jump host now to connect to show you exactly what it is about. But I hope you can see my screen right now. And yeah, this is actually one of my WVD session hosts. And if we have a look at the start menu, you can see that it's actually a very, very basic image I've deployed here. So actually, just a standard Windows 10 2004 with the Office apps installed, and the optimizations that are available for WVD are simply rolled out to the session host. Nothing special. And most of you have seen probably a demonstration on or where somebody installs one application with MSIX app attach. So actually he delivers one application to a session host. From my perspective, this is boring and nobody really needs that, because only one application is needed if you want to just yeah, fill a gap. From my perspective, and what we have for clients in place are real use cases. And this is what I'm showing you right now, how it has been done in the past. Actually, to get started with MSIX app attach, there are 4 scripts you need to run. These are still needed, but they will just be run by Microsoft in the background. First of all, we need to stage our container, which means when we talk about MSIX app attach, we talk about containers that are being attached, and junctions to the single applications will be created to the session host. And this is done now by staging our VHDX container. When we have a look at the start menu, nothing is visible still. It's just presented to our session host. If we want to install or make the applications available to our end users, we need to run the registering script. And let me show you how fast it goes to install 5 applications for my user. That's all. And when we have a look at the start menu now, you can see that we have multiple applications which haven't been here before. 7-zip, PowerShell 7. Let me open up, what do we have here? Paint.net or Visual Studio Code. I've prepared a few applications here that I want to show you how seamless this is. And you're good to go. You can start drawing something, like you can see it here. It's really some kind of seamless integration to in comparison to installing the applications on the local session host. And as you can see here, there's one difference, or some how can I say, how you can see that we're talking about an MSIX app attach application. It's the folder where, for example, PowerShell is starting in. See, program files, Windows apps, but more on that a little bit later. It's important to understand this. And imagine you share these applications with a user, and you recognize that the user is doing something that he shouldn't do. You are allowed, or you have the possibility, while deregistering all of those applications, to take away the permission while a user is working without impacting other users on the system. And when we do the deregistering process, we can see that all applications are first of all gone, even though I had the applications open, and they are gone from the start menu as well. And if I want to remove this app package from my PC, I can just run the destaging, and that's all. Everything is fine, and we have a clean system again, like we used to have it before. We can validate this by making a right click on the Windows logo, going to the disk management itself. And we can see the only container that is staged for the moment is my own profile. Pretty simple, isn't it? And this was actually for a small demonstration on what is Msx app attach exactly. But now let me explain you a bit more what is MSIX exactly. MSIX is a Windows app package format that provides a modern packaging experience to all Windows apps. The MSX package format preserves the functionality of existing app packages and install files in addition to enabling a new modern packaging and deployment features actually to Win32, WPF and Windows Forms apps, meaning that you can run nearly every kind of Windows application or you can convert it into the MSX packaging format. And for that, you can use existing app installers to convert them, those app installers into an MSX package using the MSX packaging tool, what we see a little bit later. This tool is available for free from the Microsoft Store. You can just run and download it, but I will tell you a few words about it a little bit later. But in general, why should you use MSX? First of all, because of its reliability. Regardless if you are new or if you install an application or uninstall, it guarantees a 99% of success rate while installing and uninstalling it, meaning that all the dependencies, all the prerequisites that an application comes with, they will be removed at the same time here. It's optimized for network bandwidth, meaning that only the 64K block of an MSIX package will be used to deliver the application over the network. This is also valid for MSIX app attach, meaning there's a faster throughput exactly for delivering the application itself. And last but not least, that you are using MSIX app attach in the future, or regardless if you go only for MSIX or app attach itself, it is optimized for disk space, meaning that you basically have only one application somewhere on your network location on an SMB compatible file share, and you are good to go from here.
Patrick, sorry to interrupt. Is it a good time to ask questions now, or would you prefer after the session in Q&A? We have a question here coming up.
I would prefer to do it afterwards, because then I could probably show also a little bit more demonstration side, if that's okay for everyone.
Yes, yeah, okay. Let's do that. All right, please carry on.
Awesome, perfect. Okay, we have a small look at what is inside of an MSIX package. This is very, very important if you want to get started with MSIX app attach. First of all, we're speaking about the application files itself. That's clear. But beside of that, we have an AppX manifest, which is actually an XML document that contains all the information the system needs to deploy, display, and update an MSIX package, meaning all the dependencies that are actually installed to the system while you install an application are inside of this XML document, which helps Windows actually to find all those dependencies when they are needed. To secure your app package, you have something called app block map file, and this is also an XML file inside of this package, which contains a list of app files as well with the indexes and cryptographic hashes to identify that we're really talking about the same application here. And it helps you to prevent that it's not some kind of manipulated, the package, and that the digital signature that comes actually with the package itself is still valid. And that leads us to the next point. Some of you might heard you can run MSIX packages without a signature. This is true for insider previews or for some development purposes, but generally it's required. You must have your application package signed. And for that reason, you need to have a signature. I will explain that a little bit more in depth later. And this signature will be part of the MSIX package to validate that the owner is really or the creator is really the owner of the application. For that reason, you must deploy this certificate to all session hosts or computers where you want to run MSIX app attach or an MSIX package. To sum that a little bit up, apps that are running and packaged with MSIX run in a lightweight app container. And something that makes MSIX packages unique is that those processes and its child process of those applications are run inside this isolated container using system and registry virtualization, meaning they have their own small file system, their own virtual registry, and they are completely independent from other applications that are provisioned to your system. Those applications you are provisioning, they can access the global registry on your system, but they cannot intercommunicate with other registry, with other packages on your system. And that allows you one important point, and it's a good tip from my side, especially when we're talking about confidential environments, banks, etc. We have one client who needs separate versions of Google Chrome, for example, because they're using a legacy application which requires an older version of Google Chrome. Like this, we were able to install the latest version of Google Chrome natively on the session host itself and provide the older version by an MSX package. And this is just possible because of that segregation and of these different layers of an MSX package. And to quickly explain you, we don't talk too much the theory now, but what are the typical ways of bringing applications to a WVD session host? I just quickly summarize them. First of all, and it's the most common way, is to install software directly natively on a virtual machine on Azure. You install all the dependencies, everything will be done here, and you use this image to finally generalize it, to capture it, and store it inside of a shared image gallery. While creating a new image, the version will be created, or an image definition, a version will be made out of it, and you store it in the shared image gallery. There are some automated ways like the Azure Image Builder that you can probably use, but this is not the purpose here to show this, as we are focusing on Msx Packages here. All right, you have the benefit that you can install your applications in a very common way, but and test the dependencies directly, but it's a very, very manual process. If you have to manage a very global environment with a lot of people, a lot of use cases, this is probably not the best solution you should go for. Even though Azure Image Builder, it is a great solution, yes it is, but I think you should consider the other options I'm going to present you as an alternative to the classic way of installing the applications on a session host. And another possibility would be actually to use the FSLogix app masking functionality, which comes actually with the with the FSLogix app installer. And this is actually also a very great way to deliver session hosts, because you can install nearly all applications on one image. So you don't have very much image use cases on your system. You actually have one large image use case. And by setting up rules or rule sets, you can define the visibility and hiding rules for your applications. And this can be done as well on each client level. And that brings us directly to the negative points, or those points you should consider before you start with FSLogix app masking. It requires all apps, first of all, to be installed. And as you might know, depending on how many applications you have, this might have an impact on the resources on your local system. So make sure that you consider also the hardware requirements your applications need. Good example, I have one client who used FSLogix app masking in an on-premise environment for VMware Horizon. And he had to install nearly 40 applications. It's insane when you think of this amount of applications on one image. And he used FSLogix app masking to hide those applications which are not required for some end users. But we identified that this is for this use case probably not the best solution to go for, because the client or the session host that's being enrolled become very slow. And something else that is really a point of struggling here is that when you have those rule sets for your FSLogix app masking, they need to be defined on a per machine level. So there's no global way of saying, okay, I set up my FSLogix profile or my rule set server or something like this, and I can deploy the rules as needed. No, you have to connect to the machine actually and set the rule sets as needed, or alternatively, to semi-automate it, you can publish those rule sets via group policy. But I think this is not the intention of doing that here, and just a recommendation from my side. For smaller environments, I totally agree to use it, but for larger environments, you should definitely consider other methods. But the third and the last one is what we are going to focus more in depth today. It's Msx Packages, and it's Microsoft's modern application delivery technology using the Msx packaging format, which I explained a bit earlier. And this technology enables you to separate applications from the core operating system and deliver applications to users dynamically. So it's not system dependent, it's user dependent here. And it suggested that Msx Packages is similar in the concept of FSLogix profile containers, where the user profile is actually attached and the filter drivers on the system itself are being used to redirect the profile to the virtual disk. Besides that, App-Attach delivers the fastest provisioning experience for Msx applications in a non-persistent VDI environment itself. All right, so what are the benefits while using Msx App-Attach? First of all, less images or image use cases. Like you saw in the first demonstration I've showed you, we have only one image on the system itself. It's a standard image with Office installed, maybe some dependencies here, and you're using the same packaging format across your entire system. Meaning that regardless if you're using Windows 10 multi-session in the cloud, if you're using Windows 10 from Windows 10 or Windows 10 Enterprise 2004 and above, you can use the same Msx App-Attach application everywhere. So you're not limited to the cloud. You can even take them on premises and benefit from App-Attach here. So once you have an application and it's running, there's actually no repackaging directly needed, except you want to perform an update. And it's an agentless provisioning, which makes it really unique, meaning that or compared to FSLogix, you don't need to install any kind of agents on your system, because those agents or services that come and are responsible for that come with the operating system itself. So once you have Windows 10 20.04 or later, it's already or your client is already able to use it. And the good thing here is you can control applications provision per user. And like I said earlier, or I will visualize that and show you a little bit later in the second demonstration, which we're going to show in a few minutes. And yeah, like I said, requirements, Windows 10, 20.04, 19.04.1 Insiders Preview, an SMB compatible network share, meaning you can use Azure files, for example, Azure NetApp files, or even a standard Windows virtual machine with file server roles on it. A session host must have read permission to the share itself, meaning that it's not sufficient to only have the user permission to grant access for the user to those shares where the WHDX container is lying actually. You must have read permission for your session host as well. And this is important for the step of staging. I will explain that a bit later as well. And another recommendation, or a must-have, better say, is that you need to have your application signed with a certificate. All right, so what kind of wordings do we need? What kind of terminology is needed when we talk about Msix App-Attach? And first of all, for the creation of a package itself, we're talking about the expansion. That means that we take an Msix package and expand it to a container, which can be a WVD container, which might be a WHDX container, or when we talk about the future, a SIM container. So it's a composable file system, which Microsoft announced here. It's a pretty new file system, which helps you to reduce also CPU utilization and RAM utilization. But this is not what we are going to cover today. This might be something for another session as well. So when we talk about expansion, we extract the files from our Msix package to that virtual container. Like you saw in my first demonstration, you are not limited to only one Msix package to one container. This is a use case you can go for, but actually you can take one or multiple applications to one single container. And this makes absolutely sense if you want to represent a full use case for a certain user. And yeah, one thing that is very important here that most people don't know, and I failed the very first time I was playing around with Msix App-Attach as well, you must have a parent folder, meaning that if you want to create this container, so the WHDX container or WHD container, you must create a parent folder on it, otherwise it will fail. And yeah, let's go ahead with the next stage. And this is actually the process of staging and making the application container available to the session host. So we're talking about the app container staging process. And everything that will be done at this stage is actually mounting the WHD, WHDX, and creating the junction points underneath a certain folder that you can define for your Windows host itself, and then make it available to the end users while registering the application itself to the desired user session. Meaning that the junction point that have been created will now be linked to C program files Windows apps, which is the standard application folder for standard modern applications here. And you can find those applications over here. And this is what happens at the registering process, what you saw earlier. The app will be presented to the end user. Last but not least, we have those last two steps, deregistering, destaging, which are reverting the changes we have made to the system itself. And this allows us simply to have a clean system again. If you forget, for example, to destage, that's also not a problem. While shutting down the machine or restarting the machine, the container itself will be probably dismounted. All right. And before we were talking about the ARM portal integration, so the possibility to add applications, MSIX applications from the portal, which is currently in preview, you had to go for a semi-automatic way of enabling the delivery process, meaning that we have to have those PowerShell scripts, and you need to enable the staging and destaging steps at the computer level, meaning that if you have your PowerShell scripts on staging, destaging, you need to create a GPO or a group policy object generally at the computer level to assign those PowerShell scripts on, meaning the mounting will be happening while starting up the machine, while registering and deregistering will be happening at the user level. Okay, before we jump into the next demonstration, which will be a little bit more practical oriented, I quickly show you and visualize what is happening and why I think it will be definitely the revolution of application delivery itself. You can see here we have two session hosts, session host 1, session host 2, both of them deployed with a standard golden image Windows 10 multi-session 20.04. And as you know, we are using containers already in form of FSLogix profile containers or Office 365 containers. So that means represented here by profile A is a user A, profile B might be a user B. And we can assign applications on the fly to be registered to the desired session host. But what happens if, for example, user A requires another application? For example, he starts to become a developer and he needs to have an additional application, for example. Like this, with Msix App Attach, you are simply able to attach that on the fly and makes it available to you. And this is simply awesome because you are not limited anymore to restart any system. You can just register the application on the fly and make it available to your end user. And I think it's getting time for the next demonstration on how to create those scripts and how am I able to do the same for my environment. And in this time, I will show it with a small demonstration while packaging one package, first of all. And we will go a little bit later in detail when it comes to the ARM portal integration in the next demonstration. So there won't be that much.
Yeah, Patrick, yes. Awesome so far, awesome information, awesome presentations, and questions are building up. So let me know if you would like to have a pause somewhere in your presentations, and maybe we can go through, or whichever way you prefer. Yeah, it's up to you.
So maybe we should take some questions from over here. Let's take some time now. That should be possible. Happy to answer them.
Awesome. Let's do that. Sounds great. All right, so we've got a lot of questions coming from Dirk, and so Dirk, perhaps would you like to enable your sound and just ask them yourself, or are you happy for me to read it out?
Yeah, no problem. So the first thing was from a customer point of view, from a client point of view more, is it possible to copy paste between a MSIX attached application and a, let's say, native WVD application?
This is generally possible. Why is it possible? Because the integration of an MSX package itself is basically seamless to the cooperating system. What happens is you actually just virtualize the file system which is needed to present the application to the cooperating host, but they share access to exactly those features. It might be the case for some applications. I remember in the very beginning that this was not possible, but I do definitely know that it is possible now. If you, for example, have Notepad++, this is what you see frequently, that I saw it already, that it should work.
Okay, and then the second part is, when you talk about containerizing them, I suppose that the application as such is then running within that container and using the resources of that container and not using the resources of the WVD?
Actually, it's using the resources of WVD. The container will just be used to deliver the application to the session host. How can I explain it a bit in another way? You have to know that when you have this container and you create the junction at the staging point, this allows your computer actually to access those files in read-only mode. I will cover this a little bit later after this demonstration, how this is working, but actually the resource consumption will be done from the session host itself.
Okay.
For that reason, it's also, sorry, excuse me.
Does that mean that if you have a large environment with a lot of WVD hosts, that you still need only one container that can be attached to several WVD hosts, or would you still prefer to have several containers for the same application, I mean?
No, the intention is really to have only one container for multiple session hosts. And I can give you a real world example. We have a new client which started with a proof of concept. Let's talk about 100 session hosts. And those are all in one host pool actually. And they wanted to use those legacy Chrome application, which I was mentioning a bit earlier. And they have only one container, VHDX container, which is somewhere on Azure Files. And then attached to all of those session hosts where it's needed. So you can really use it everywhere it's needed. But okay, I will tell you something about this when it comes to storage. Something very important.
So the word container, I should more see it as being some part of storage that is attached. It's not really a container that executes it. The word container is a bit misleading in that case then.
Indeed. When you compare it to Docker container, for example, it's really really different here.
Yeah. Okay. I was more thinking about like a Docker container, than also having a way to have a container which has a GPU and only have those within the container and not within the WVD. So I was already thinking about ways to have less cost for the WVD. So okay. That explains a lot of things then. I should see it as more as a way to attach an application from a storage point of view than from a way to run the application really separately. Although it's running separately.
Indeed. It's not directly a virtualization layer, although, or I have to say that there are some features enabled by the Windows system finally, which makes it some kind of virtualized. But actually, that's a good point you're mentioning, Dirk, because I'm already speaking with some people from the product group about this, because that might be an evolution of AppAttach to virtualize the application entirely in a, like you say, in a small virtual container like we know it from Docker.
Okay. So it's also a possibility, because you mentioned Chrome. I suppose it's also possible to do the same thing with Office applications. I mean, we had a customer where they wrote an application with Excel 2010. In the new versions of Excel, those functions that they were using are no longer existing, and they didn't want to rewrite it. So that would be a way to run an Excel 2010 application next to a normal Office 2016, 2019, whatever it will be. By using MSIX then?
I have to tell you at this point, yes, it would work with older Office versions, even though newer Office versions are not yet supported for MSX AppAttach. Not yet, I have to tell you. This is because there are a lot of dependencies in the registry that might lead to problems here with MSX AppAttach. But I can tell you, I already tested it, and for me, it was working. And Office 2010, I have already a client that was working too. So unofficially, I can say it's working.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Patrick. Thank you so much. This is Rajesh here. I really appreciate you guys doing you and Zane, running this community, giving these presentations. I have a quick question. So we are trying to do MSIX AppAttach and try to package the applications using MSIX. What we noted was any heavy applications, we always had a struggle. So wanted to understand, are there any limitations for MSIX before we consider the apps for MSIX packaging?
Officially, from what I know, there are no limitations yet. So depending, you are really limitless from the size of the container itself. But I have to tell you, and let me show you directly in my demonstration here. Let's make it a little bit more dynamic here. I open up the share where I have my, sorry, let me open up the container where I have my multiple applications on so that I can show you something. This is just an example from the use case I had before. You see, it has a size of 800 megabyte, but I also had use cases where we had sizes around 2 gigabyte. Depending on the size, you would need to calculate the storage as well, and the Iops you need to perform or to have a good performance in attaching the application itself to the system. And this is what you need to consider while you probably think there's a size limitation. I saw that applications larger than 5 gigabyte are very, very slow in performance when you attach them to more than one system. And actually, the thing that resolved it was to use another service. We used Azure NetApp files with ultra disk performance. And afterwards, it was working for nearly 50, 60 session hours perfectly. So, but you have to consider the size here and the storage performance on the other hand. But officially, there are no limitations in sizing the WHDX container finally.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. How about any other limitations like driver applications or like services-based applications or any applications which are having hardware dependencies? So some of the applications like geoscience applications like OSIPy or Vulkan, do you think we can MSIX those applications, or do you reckon we have to consider any limitations like how we had it for application virtualization?
You already said it well. Actually, there is this limitation of having, excuse me, the driver-based MSX packages, meaning that containers or applications that require driver access from the local system are not supported officially, even though, excuse me, they are working. That means I can give you an example of Zoom, for example. The latest version of Zoom with the plugin for WVD, for example, requires actually to have the drivers or driver redirection enabled somehow. I made it work. Let's make it simple. It simply worked while I was expanding the package and extracting the content from my created packages itself. But officially, it's not yet supported. But I think there will come something will come in the near future then.
Okay. Sure. Thanks, Patrick.
You're welcome.
Great, and I think that these are all our questions for now. So yeah, thank you, Patrick, for answering those. So back over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let's start with how do you get there? Where or what do you need to create an MSIX package first of all? How does the packaging process actually work? And for that reason, I need to mute. Okay, back here. You have two applications you must have to have. First of all, the MSIX packaging application or tool that most of you, the people will probably already have, and a tool which I highly, highly recommend to use. It's the Msx Commander provided by a German colleague called Pascal Berger. And this is actually a freeware tool where you can do a lot of great stuff in creating the scripts required for Msx Packages if you don't know it. But let me first of all guide you through the standard procedure of creating an MSIX package with just a single application that you have seen it once, how it works for those of you who are really new to MSIX Packages or MSIX packages. So when I have this tool, I can select that I want to create a package here on my computer. And this step is actually needed if my application I want to provision to my end users is not delivered in the MSIX format. So you can see, first of all, there will be a prerequisite check. So do I have the tool drivers? Is the Windows update still active? In my case, disabled. And I highly encourage you to disable the Windows search. You will see later on why. In the next step, we choose the application we want to capture here. Actually, what the tool is doing, it's a capturing process. So it will analyze what kind of changes are being made to the local system. And I've prepared a bunch of applications here. Let's take something which goes quite quick, just for the demonstration, like 7-zip, nothing special. And if you want to run special parameters, which is probably used for the Zoom client, if I can give you a very recent example, you can run them directly from over here. Otherwise, you can go ahead with the signing preference. You would be allowed to go ahead and create your MSIX package, but you would have to sign the package itself if you want to use it in the future. All right, I choose sign with a certificate, and for demonstration purposes and to show you quickly how it works, I've created a self-signed certificate over here, which you can pick from here. I need to provide a password which I typed and which I enabled for the certificate itself. And before I click on next, if that's too fast for you, I've written a very intensive blog article about everything I'm doing here. So you don't need to capture anything or to write down anything, because I've written a blog article explaining all of these steps I'm doing here more in detail as well, to do it in your own lab environment. Okay, all right. So next we need to give it a package name. Let's call it 7-zip. We make it simple. The same for the display name, the publisher name, and we can type a version. Let's make it simple here. You can even change the installation location and add support for the MSIX core to the package itself. This is not required for our 7-zip application, so we hit next to go to the next step. And what you can see here, it's simply the setup is running. So you can define the destination folder like you would do it on a normal local system. 7-zip is successfully installed, and that's all. The tool already recognized that the capturing process has been done successfully, and that's good. If you have a larger application and a problematic application, which means something that has a lot of dependencies and requires a huge installation, probably with a restart in it, you can even perform this restart from this tool, and it will take it from here again once the system is restarted. So we hit next because that's good. And with 7-zip, you know, it's a very simple application here, what I'm going to show, but that's also due to the time we have left. To choose the entry points, but you can even browse and change the entry points. And I've written also an article about Microsoft Teams and MSX packaging. And with Microsoft Teams, for example, you would need to change the entry point to make it available to your end users. But if it's interesting, I will link that article a little bit later in the chat. Now that we are finished, we hit next and move on. There are no services here included, and it's actually correct what Dirk said already. So you can work with services, but there might be some limitations. A good example for that might be Adobe Reader. You know that every Adobe product comes with a service or the updater service itself. This might be a bit problematic, but if you think of updating the package, if it receives an update notification, you know that a normal user won't be able to update it. And it's not the intention that you provide applications with MSX app attach and the user starts to update, which is also not possible when we talk about that a bit later. But you should think about the services you enable and provide. But you would be able to disable the service if you don't want to have it. Finally, you select the location where you want to store the MSIX package, and you hit create, and you will see that the 7-zip application is being created here. So good so far. When you close this, you will see that it will clean up the environment, and you are done with the creation of the 7-zip application. It was pretty simple, but I can tell you, depending on the application you want to deliver, the plugins you want to add, it might be a bit more difficult, so or more time consuming, let's say it like this, before you are able to create that package. But now that we have it, we need to make it available as an MSX app attach container. And the scripts that I showed you a bit earlier, maybe I have some here, at least I have some on my share. Let me take it from here. These are the ones you would need to create. This is what you would think. And this is very, very, how can I say, a manual process. Because first of all, you have to define the VHD source, the package name, the parent folder, which I mentioned a bit earlier, the volume GUID, which you need to capture from the creation point of creating this container, and finally an MSX junction folder, which can be anywhere on the system itself, and so on and so forth. As this is, from my perspective, not required, and is really time consuming also to test, I want to show you the Msx Commander, which is really an awesome tool and something I highly encourage you to choose for the future. It's freely available from GitHub, and if you like, I can share that link as well, but you can also find it on my blog article. So once Msx Commander is started, you have your Msx package ready, you simply click on App Attach, select the Msx package that you've created, for example, 7-zip here, and convert to VHD. All right, and this process is now creating for us the Msx container, meaning, first of all, the VHD file, the parent folder, expand the content of our Msx package to the app attach ready container, and create all the PowerShell scripts. And this is something you will see in a second. As you can see it here, it has been created for us. And here we go. Everything ready, including the certificate that has been used for signing the package. Because as you know, but I will go a bit more in detail, you need to import that certificate to be able to run the application. And this is actually how it works. I made another example here as well. Let me quickly switch to my other machine, my session host. Probably it has been closed. So let me take it from here, connect to that machine again. I have the feeling that my auto-scaling solution was working pretty fine. Very sorry, I need to start the session host again. It's when you have auto-scaling in place to for cost reduction, and normally I'm not presenting that early already. So excuse me for the inconvenience. We will take it in the next demonstration as well. But you have already seen, if I would run those scripts as expected, you will see that the application will be presented to the end user system. If I just make another example with Google Chrome, but I see we have it already installed here, it will do actually the same. Or let us take Zoom. Let me quickly check if it's installed here on the session host to give you a real world example. Is Zoom installed? No, it's not. So we can quickly stage this one to see it was also created with the Msx Commander. I hope that it works here. And if not, I will need to package this again. So this, sorry, this was the old one. Excuse me for the inconvenience, but I will write a blog article about this for the weekend as well with a video that you can see that it works. I know why this is not working, as it was a demonstration in the very early stage here in my temp folder. So please excuse me for that inconvenience. I will quickly check if the content or my session host is now started. Seems to be so. So that we can test our package.
This is the real life proof that auto scaling works well, Patrick.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've written a tool for that. So and when you use it, and it's very strict with the timings, etc. So I think my peak hours are something like 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 10 o'clock, because that's the usual time when I'm presenting. So
well, now we know it works.
No problem.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Sorry. Is that auto scale on WVD or the virtual machines?
It's actually for WVD, and I'm working currently on something that is valid for all virtual machines. You could use the start and stop machine from the automation account. It's actually a solution you can enroll there for normal virtual machines. But
yeah, because we tried it on
some...
WVD and I was not successful, and read somewhere in one of the blogs that it's not supported on WVD. So that's why I was asking. Yeah, okay, that's good to know.
Yes, I will share some resources with you so that you can pick it up from here and try the other solution I'm developing in the background for WVD, so that you can really benefit from this scaling
that
solution.
would be fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Patrick.
You're welcome. And to summarize, excuse me, if there's another question.
Sorry, no, I just wanted to ask Rajesh to perhaps drop us your email, your contacts, so that Patrick can email you the details later on at a later stage. If you would like to even message it privately, it's fine.
Sure,
Rajesh,
Zane.
whichever
No
way.
problem.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Perfect, we'll do that. And as you can see, I just made an example quickly with an application with Google Chrome here. It was the real world example which I was talking about. And you can just run the application, and it has been also created with Masselberger's tool. So this is actually how it works, and you saw pretty simple. But as we have still a few slides left, and then we come to the real new stuff. Yeah, let me take you and explain you quickly some best practices for the future. And when I talk about best practices, it's really something that is very important to plan and consider when you want to work with Msix App Attach from off now. And what you have seen is actually how to use the Msx Commander in this demonstration to generate an app attach ready container, how to manually start that app container, and something which I don't show here is the group policy automation in quotes because of the next demonstration I have, because this won't be needed anymore. Because now we're talking about something which is essential for you to understand and to go ahead with Msix App Attach. It's where to store my containers here. And there are 3 options, and most likely you will see on blog articles from speakers of the community that they encourage you to go for Azure files. I do the same, but I have to tell you one thing I encountered here in Germany, Luxembourg, or Belgium, even with a Belgian client, while using Azure files and premium tier. And first of all, why would I encourage you to use it? Because it's a managed service. You don't need to manage the security and other features, as well as that you have the AD authentication possibilities, which integrates it into your local Active Directory, and you can benefit from the security groups that are already present in your environment. So you don't need to necessarily create new ones, even though I know if you want to do it correctly, you probably create new security groups. But a feature that will change everything is SMB multi-channel. And SMB multi-channel is something that is really, really great. I will come to that a bit later. Why I would encourage you to use this combination probably over the other ones. But if you need more enterprise scale performance, like I mentioned earlier as well, meaning you have probably Msix App Attach containers which are larger, speaking 5 GB or more, or consolidation of multiple applications here which require that size, I encourage you to choose Azure NetApp Files. But of course, Azure NetApp Files is more expensive. And from my personal feeling, a best practice from my side, I would encourage you to choose it if there's a requirement of 4 TB of storage and more. And 4 TB and more, this is including the FSLogix profiles, Office 365 profiles, and Msx applications. When I consolidate those and I have more than 4 TB, it's definitely the solution you should go for. Otherwise, you should pick Azure Files or a file server VM probably, which with a premium disk performance enabled. So, but why is Patrick saying Azure Files? Because previously I have to admit that I had some issues with Azure Files in the past, even with smaller environments. When I was talking about 25 people, it wasn't working that great in the West European region. We had a lot of problems with Iops, and this is clear because Azure Files gives you the performance based on the size you assign. Meaning that if you have a file share of, let me say, 50 GB, for example, you won't get the same performance as if you would assign 100 GB. This is something very important to mention here. You can calculate these Iops. I will share with you a very, very awesome resource Ryan Mangan has created. It's an Iops calculator for Azure Files, and this is really awesome to show you the performance needed for your enterprise. Meaning you can type the amount of storage that you need, and it will give you an explanation on how many Iops throughput you need. So like this, you can choose the right solution for yourself on Azure to have the best performance here. But like I mentioned earlier, when we pick up Azure Files in the premium tier with a premium tier file share, You benefit from Active Directory authentication and a new feature which is released in public preview currently called SMB multi-channel by increasing the Iops and providing you a higher throughput. And something I've captured here is what I want to show you in this case, to show you also some statistic. What is the difference? The orange bulk is the Iops, what you have with a standard Azure Files file share, and the blue one is SMB multi-channel enabled. By allowing you to establish multiple connections to that file share, you see you have nearly 3 times the Iops you would have as if you would use a non-SMB multi-channel file share or Azure Files here. So it's incredibly higher here, and I highly encourage you, once it's available in your region as well, to choose it. But let us talk quickly about container security before we go and check the new stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, each Msx package must be signed to be able to install it. But why should you sign the Msx package? What is the exact reason now? So when we deploy an Msx package, the operating system uses this digital signature to confirm that it can trust the original owner or builder of the package. The digital signature is the standard method actually to ensure that the package is not manipulated in any way. And digital signing involves attaching a hashed value actually of the contents inside of the package to an alternate stream to the file itself to validate that it can trust the content and that it hasn't been changed since it has been signed for the very first time. And what kind of options do we have now to sign our applications? You can go for an internal CA or external CA, even though I have to say a code signing certificate is very, very expensive, especially when it's not your application that you want to propose. So like this, an internal CA is absolutely sufficient, and you need to provision this certificate to your end users finally. And you can go for a self-signed certificate here. Simply creating it on your local host for testing purposes and providing it to the Msx package to sign it finally. As I mentioned, I have the blog article written, so everything inside there, what you need to know and how to create it, so you don't need to write this commandlet down. It's just a PowerShell commandlet that helps you to create this one. Attention, best practice tip. I saw customers already saying, oh yeah, but I don't want to take care if I sign my Msx package of renewing it all the time. So I don't give an expiration date and it should be fine. Yes, you can do that, but Msx Packages won't work. So good tip from my side, or an important notice as well, if you create the self-signed certificate or the certificate from your CA, make sure it has an expiration date. Otherwise it won't work. All right, and once we have created our certificate, we can go to the local certificate store on the computer we have created, simply export this key, and provision it to all session hosts where the Msx application is needed. Meaning you need to import this below computer certification, so the computer certificate store, in trusted people to be able to run the Msx Packages containers and the applications basically on it. And another security feature that most people are really not aware of, because I had a very interesting customer conversation a few weeks ago about this feature, and he said, okay, Patrick, you provide our end users access to the Msx application, that's fine, but what happens if a user wants to see program files, Windows apps, and tries to play around and exchange graphics of our application we have created? Because it's a software vendor, he provides the software packages also via Msx Packages, and but if somebody, a third party, would steal the software and just exchange some pictures, wouldn't this be a manipulation of the package? And I can tell you this is not possible, because when you use Msx Packages, all containers will only be staged in read-only mode. So users simply cannot manipulate it once you have captured and expanded your Msx package to that container. Meaning that you can also not update directly from within the container. But what you are able to do is to create a new Msx package or take the existing one, run the update packages while modifying it, and simply provisioning it on the fly. So users won't even recognize the change when you perform an update management. But this will also be something probably for another session I want to do about update management on Msx packages. What are the best practices? How do we handle with that? All right, and something that you need to know to get started with App-Attach itself are the following requirements. First of all, and I explained to you earlier that for running an MSX App-Attach container, you need to have Windows 10 2004 and above. But to create the MSX package itself, it's sufficient to have Windows 10 1809 or later in place. If you want to participate to the Windows Insider program, I highly encourage you to do so because it grants you access to very nice features and previews already, as well as the MSX packaging tool in preview also, where you can test features which are coming in the soon future. But to have it, or to have those access to the Insider program, you will need to have a valid Microsoft account here, but I'm sure most of you have. Admin privileges to run the tool itself, because as it does changes on the system itself, you will need to take care that you have admin privileges to that the capturing tool is reading all those log files to be able to capture the install progress accordingly. And last but not least, what we mentioned earlier, the certification authority or a self-signed certificate, but a self-signed certificate only for testing, if I can say it like this. So, and for App-Attach, as you know, you need, or you were used to prepare those PowerShell scripts for staging, registering, deregistering, destaging, so the terminology we covered in the very beginning. And I have to tell you that if you want to create a use case for multiple applications, like I showed you in the very first demonstration, you are still enforced to go that way. There's no automated way of doing it, so you will need to make yourself familiar with the PowerShell scripts. But as I said earlier in my blog article, everything is really particularly described what you need to do. You will also need an additional application called the Msx Manager, and this is also just a small exe file. You need to expand those Msx packages you have created to the virtual container. And the free tool, if you just need to create a single application, is Pascal Berger's Msx Commander. And as you saw it earlier, it's pretty simple to create those App-Attach ready containers, including the PowerShell scripts. But it's only possible to create single packages, or you can even select a folder. And if you have multiple Msx packages inside, it will take each package and create the App-Attach ready container with the scripts here. All right, and now you're probably very interested what's coming in the future. And as Zane already explained, the ARM portal integration has been done before Christmas. And to do so, you need to have access to, or you first need to register up in the Microsoft Forms to be able to participate to that program. But unfortunately, and this is what I experienced multiple times, sometimes I lose access to that program, but I was lucky to prepare a small demonstration in form of a video, because you will see when I try to represent and when I want to explain you something, it won't work for me. So first of all, when you are registered and you receive the email that you are part of the MSIX App-Attach program, you can go to preview.portal.azure.com. So actually it's a preview portal, not even the real Azure portal. Feature MSX applications.true. And when you go to the Windows Virtual Desktop service itself, you select the host pool you want to select, you will see a new option called Msx Packages here. You can see that actually there's no package yet in place, but if we click on Add, and let me take an example from over here, because it's able to access local file shares as well as Azure files, excuse me. So that means we can simply pick the WHDX container from over here, copy the path, we go back to the Azure portal, paste the path, and what is actually being done here is that the session hosts available in my host pool are now connecting to those WHDX files. Actually, it's the RD agent, so the remote desktop infrastructure agent responsible on that session host, which is contacting the file share with the VHDX or containing the VHDX we have created. And you know, this was the one from my very first demonstration. And we can select and pick one of the applications we have inside of that. So you're not even limited to do a one-to-one connection. You can even pick one of those applications and simply do it like this. You give it a name like paint.net, and then you have registration type, and we distinguish between on-demand or log-on blocking, and the current state, which means if the package is inactive or active. If you have read the official documentation, you will probably, or you have probably seen that you should click now on add and leave the state as inactive. Not a good tip. As you will see later on in the video demonstration, because this will fail because I had some issues with the subscription. As you can see here, this functionality is not supported. It will be included. I have prepared a video which will successfully show that to you. And this is what I'm going to run now. This is what I captured actually yesterday, because yesterday it was working, today it was not working. But this is okay because it's a private public preview, and for me it seems to be more a private preview. Let me go to that point where we start.
Exactly. Yep. Carry on. Sorry, it is a still preview, so it is a little bit, I suppose, can be technology that's very, very new. That's why it can have all these hiccups along the way.
Indeed. And as I can see here, I set the state always to active because it's very important for the next step. So we click add, and you can see that the application package has been successfully deployed. You see it's my domain controller actually. And what you can see here, and this is something very important to know, now that the package has been selected and the state is active as well, that means that the staging process, which I explained to you in the terminology, will take place on the session host level. Meaning that in the moment you select active, in a standard way, it has a 5-minute interval. It will check if the package is still active. It will mount and create the junction for your end users on the virtual system itself. As you know, this won't mean that the application is already presented to the end users, but it's already mounted to the system. And if you would open up the disk management, you will probably see this WVDX file already presented to your end users. Now, that was the staging part. That means you don't even need to take care of the PowerShell scripts anymore, like Zane already explained, but you still need to have it, as we are talking here about a preview, and this is not being, or how can I say, I can't recommend you to use it in production now. The next step is actually to create an application group to prepare the registering scripts for your end users. I recommend you to create a new application group here. And while clicking on Add Applications, you will probably see that there's a new option while selecting the application source called Msx Package. And while clicking on it, and this is important why you should set the state to active, because when your application state is set to inactive, you can't even pick your application here. So there's a small typo probably in the documentation of Microsoft here. So take care, it must be active to be able to see the application. You can select the icon path and even show the application in the web feed. We proceed by clicking next, and we select a user or security group to grant access to it. In my case, I do it on a single user level and select next the workspace. I register for a workspace that is already existing for me. We click create to simply provide the application. You will see, compared to a normal application group delivery, that's at least my experience, it takes a little bit longer, because you will see that the registering process, so the application access will be granted right now. And if we switch to the user session, what I'm also going to show you now, while connecting to the WVD service using the web client, you will see that the application will be presented to the end user while logging onto the session now. And I'm connected here with my user Bruce Banner. Now I'm connecting through the web interface to my WVD session host. And I have a very important tip for you at the very end, because something best practice, if you want to choose this feature already, what you need to take care of. So I skip this a bit till we are logging in. And now that we are logged on to the session host, you will see from time to time that the screen might be a bit flickering. This is actually the sign that the script is running in the background. And as you can see here, PowerShell 7 is presented to us. And let me quickly pause this, because what I explained to you in the very first demonstration is that you can see that's the proof that we're talking really about an Msx app attach container. While speaking about an application, it is like PowerShell, which is opening C program files, Windows apps, instead of see Windows System 32. And this is the proof that it's not locally installed or it hasn't been installed before, and that we're using the portal integration here. All right, so like I said, you need to have session hosts in your environment to be able to use this feature. But something which is extremely important for you to know is one fact, that the standard interval when the session hosts are contacting this WVDX file is 5 minutes. If this is not sufficient, or if this is too much, because it's establishing a connection to your file server finally, you need to think of if there's a better way of interval to choose. For me, I have somewhere over here, let me quickly check this. I connect to that machine now in admin mode. There is a possibility to modify this interval by changing a registry key. And how this is working, that's what you can see now in this demonstration. So I'm now connected to as a local administrator, or I think domain administrator, sorry. The application is not mounted here, so you can see it's really user dependent, this Msx package. So when I search for PowerShell 7, it's not here. But if I open up the registry, because I want to modify the interval for my session host to check up the Msx package, you can go to HKey local machine, software, Microsoft RD Infra Agent, because this is the service finally which contacts our container. We need to create a new key called Msix app attach and package list check interval minutes. This is a rect word. And you can define the number in minutes in a decimal as a decimal value. And this does the trick. For me, this registry key is now responsible or pushes the RD agent to check the Msx package every minute. And that concludes my demonstration. This is actually how you can modify it. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show you the live demonstration. I'm really sorry about this, but I don't want to hide the new features from you. You have to be a bit patient, like I said, and sometimes there are mistakes in the provisioning and activation process from Microsoft side. Just ping Stefan Georgiev or just request it again. Most likely it will directly work afterwards. Awesome.
Great, thank you, Patrick.
And let's take the very last slide. I have just something to finalize. If you want to read everything you have seen, reach out to my blog, WVD Logics, Ryan Mangan's IT blog for the Iops calculator and the desktops and the cloud feature. And I want to thank you. I know I was already much over the time, I think. I'm very sorry for this, but I hope you enjoyed it. You learned a lot. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you, Patrick, for awesome presentation. It's a great presentation. And we do have some questions here actually for you. Just while you were delivering the last part here, so Dirk was asking there. Well, in fact, guys, this is a time when we can actually enable our cameras if you would like to, or if you can enable our cameras, you can also unmute your microphones and feel free to ask your questions. So Dirk, you had 2 follow-up questions there.
Yeah, right. So Patrick, great presentation, very interesting. You talked about the multi-channel SMB connections. I suppose that between multi-channel and non-multi-channel, there is a price difference, or is it just you enable it and it's the same price?
From what I know, I can quickly research that in my document. As I know, there's actually no price change, but I might be wrong with that. I will come back to you with this, with the information exactly.
If there is no price change, then the question is, why wouldn't you enable it?
Yeah, indeed. Okay. It's the thing currently is it's in public preview, and the problem what we see with Luxembourg and Belgium clients is that you can't enable it because the West European region doesn't support it. And even though you have those higher Iops in Germany because of the latency, which is quite good, this is something we should or that should be improved quite soon. You should definitely check this out.
Okay, and the second question was, often when we talk about WVD, it's about Windows 10, but there is also WVD Windows 2019 possible. So the MSIX features that you were showing, are they also possible on Windows 2019 or just onto Windows 10?
Yes, you can also use them on a Windows Server. Actually, you just need to take care that you have the proper version. I say, I'm used to say, use the latest versions of Windows Server 2019. If you update, you are absolutely good to go. Also with Windows Server 2019 here. Yeah, but that's definitely not a problem. We have customers already in place which are using it in a proof of concept state currently.
Okay, and then a third and maybe final question. I'll try. Windows 10 has a lot of updates, of course, which means that you go to newer builds. The newer builds will also include newer DLLs.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that from an MSIX point of view, you will have to do some updates, or because it's really somehow differently running than the Windows 10, that you don't need to do the updates? So how does that interfere with each other?
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to update anything from your MSIX app attach container because, and this is the large advantage, once the application is ready, it will take the dependencies, or it captures the dependencies already from the capturing process of the MSIX package, meaning that even if dependencies might change, the core dependencies are evaluated already while creating the package itself. So I had no case yet, especially when we do an upgrade from 20.04 to 20H2, for example, that prevented us from using the MSIX packages. So I can say that it's pretty fine working, actually.
Okay, but,
and it's intended to not change.
Okay, because I mean, an application has several dependencies. When those dependencies are base DLLs from the operating systems, will they be in the container or will they be using those of the WVD hosts?
Mm-hmm. Good question, actually, because it's completely up to you how you want to build it. Because I can give you an example with Zoom. You know, to use the good performance or the plugins with Zoom, you need to have those additional plugins that Zoom has been created a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Now it's up to you to install this plugin on the session host itself or directly in the package. And what I'm used to do, and this is part of the blog article I'm going to write, I know Neil has already written it, my colleague Neil, for native installation, but it's also working for MSX App Attach. During the capturing process, you can run the Zoom installation, and afterwards you pick up the plugin, for example, and you just run the installer afterwards. That will include the dependency inside of the package, and you don't need to take care of that.
Okay.
Just to give you a real world example.
Okay, which means that if afterwards, for some reason, one of those DLLs is updated within the WVD host, it doesn't interfere because it's already in the package.
It's in the package, exactly. It's completely up to you how you build it up, because I know there are also examples where this is not possible. And yeah, just to give that.
Thank you. Yeah, okay.
You're welcome.
Hey, Patrick.
Right.
Rajesh here. It was a great presentation. I would really appreciate that. I loved it. Few more questions, especially on MSIX. So you mentioned that we cannot, the two containers will not interact. So for example, if I have an application A and application B, which are two standalone applications, and they are dependent, they work in conjunction. So can I do something like connection groups, like how we used to do it in AppV? Do we have an option to connect two containers on MSIX?
Good question, actually, because it's something I've raised as well, this question, when we were talking about MSX App Attach. From what I know, currently that's not possible, like with Docker containers, to create dependencies between each other, not yet, at least. But I think the product team is really working on this feature. I hope so, at least, because this is something, as you explained, if you need to separate different dependencies from each other, they need to collaborate somehow. But how can I say? There's another example where this is working. Let me make an example with, I hope it's not fictitious, with SAP, for example. You have SAP or any kind of application like this, a CRM in one package, and Microsoft Excel, an older version, in another package. As the application appears to be installed locally, this is not a problem, as it will take the information from over here. But if there are dependencies, you mean based on registry keys, based on some kind of virtual common file share or something like this, that the application needs on the system itself, this might be a bit problematic. But if we're talking just about the application A needs to open up a process in application B, like with Excel and macros here, this is possible.
Okay. Do you have any rough estimate when the team is going to come up with any updates on that? Just curious.
Nothing official, no.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, guys. We've got another question here. I'm not sure if this question still stands. Asita was asking that from Colombo. Asita, I might ask it for you if you like, because your microphone is still muted. I'm not sure if you would like to ask that yourself, but let me just read it out then. So, does software vendors releasing MSIX app version? Question mark. Maybe in future we might not need to capture.
Indeed, that's a very, very awesome question. I can tell you, and this is something, a hidden tip from my side. Most people don't know it. Actually, there are very lot software vendors already delivering the application as an MSX package. And actually, you can grab them from the Microsoft GitHub repository. I will share that link later on with you as well. Because I don't have it ad hoc, but I have it somewhere in my favorites, at least what I can show you. So there are plenty of applications already available as MSX packages, and it's a good question. This will come more and more in the future. I expect Microsoft to deliver even larger applications as MSX packages, because it's really a huge benefit you're driving with MSX App Attach.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Patrick, I messaged you both email addresses for Asita and for Rajesh. If you can email these details, perhaps as well to both of them, I think that will be helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hi guys, just one question from my side. Hello everyone.
Hi, Rohan. How are you?
Hey. First of all, thanks a lot, Patrick, for the amazing session. The integration with the Azure portal, when this would be happening? Any idea?
Actually, you can already sign up for it. So if you want to test it out, you can already do it today. And let me quickly send you the app attached, the document, because it's just a link and you can register for it, but most people don't see it because it's not visible directly. I had to search for that as well. Just use that link, register up for it, and you are able to test it. But when an official release date will be announced, I can't give any information yet about that. I hope, I expect it to be this summer, but that's just an expectation from my side. It's nothing official.
Yeah, okay. We will be waiting for that, because I know I've done testing in my lab, where this is a bit, a long process, deregistering, staging and all. I did try that,
Yes.
but when I checked with a company, they were like, okay, let's not go to that part. Let's wait for that, the integration part.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks a lot for this link. I'll definitely register, and let's see how it comes up.
Perfect. It takes usually 24 hours to get registered or get access to the portal. But as you saw on the demonstration, there's a difference still. For me, it feels more like a private.
Yep, that is right.
Yeah, because you see, you have to connect to another portal and to be able to see those features. So when this feature will be really available in the official ARM portal, I expect that a lot more functionalities will be part of MSX.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for posting these links, Patrick. So yeah, if you guys would like to grab these links, because at the end of the session, the chat will be closing, and it's probably a good time to grab them now. Copy paste them to your documents, whichever docos you choose. All right, so that's awesome, Patrick. Thank you so much. It was an excellent presentation, packed with value, with features, with high tech, and yeah, giving us this preview as to what's coming for MSIX, so we know what to expect, and we know how it works now in detail. So thank you for explaining that. It was a really good session.
Thank you. You're welcome. Always happy to help and to present. So if one day you need some updates on MSX App Attach, I would be happy to present again.
Awesome. Thank you for this. I might take you on this offer one day. in the future. Yeah, so we've got, because with our session, so February, we have a Nerdio Manager coming up, presentation by Bas van Kam from Netherlands. Yeah, for March, we probably will have actually some content from Microsoft. So I'm actually going to speak to Microsoft this week, so to see what we'll be presenting from them. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Right. So if you guys ready for a quick group photo, maybe we'll just do a quick one. And I don't know if the rest of you guys, I'm not sure if you have cameras. Yeah, oh, you do. Rohan, good to see you again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe I share something also for everyone because it has been requested. It's the auto-scaling solution I've developed. It's just a small tool, actually a PowerShell script, which enables you to scale up and down.
Okay.
If you have the time, wait for next week because I'm developing a new version for it. It will be released this weekend, so it will have a lot of bug fixes as well for more dynamic scalings. But if you want to already check the standard features, you have a feature video on the blog post to check this out. I have to say I'm not a developer. Please be patient with me, but I tried my best to make it as user friendly as I could.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for sharing this link. Yeah, we've got it in the chat. Yeah,
perfect.
Awesome. All right. Well, Rajesh is here. We can see you as well, Rajesh. So
Hey.
we can say maybe for the group photo, we'll say perhaps on 3 MSIX, perhaps. Patrick, what do you reckon? All right. So let's do 1, 2, 3 MSIX. Okay.
MSIX.
Awesome. That's it. That's captured. Done. Well, guys, thank you so much for participating, for awesome questions from you guys, and for Patrick's delivery of this session. It was awesome. It was amazing. So we really appreciate your contribution, Patrick, for coming all the way from Luxembourg down to here, virtually, of course.
Yeah.
To Australia. So yeah, so hopefully we'll do it again one day. And yeah, so that'll be good. So have a nice rest of the week, guys. And
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you next time on the next session, perhaps in February. So it has already been announced, so you could take this opportunity and sign up perhaps on the meetup. It's already there.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Take care, and we'll see you next
Bye.
time. Yeah, see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.